Welcome to episode 20 of season 3 of Relics of Ore. I am your host Shongaku, and this is a show about Guild Wars 2, and the Guild Wars community. And I am joined this week by my awesome co-hosts, who are with me every week, Evee and Kate. How are you guys doing tonight?
I'm good. I'm webcamless, which means you can't see me waving and smiling at you, but I will send you all an internet hug collectively.
Apparently Evee will be doing the waving and smiling for you.
Yes! Excellent. Shut up, squeaky chair, no one asked you.
I don't know about smiling.
No, you're gonna be frowny and angry all day. You're gonna be like, "Rah!"
No,
Well,
more like complacent, indifferent.
and apathetic.
Turn that frown upside down.
We have a fairly interesting show for you. We're going to be talking about the new dungeon. We're going to also talk a little bit about content burnout, which I think a few of us are experiencing. We'll also mention some information. We'll also talk a little bit about the PvP and some interesting stuff that Wooden Potatoes has for our community information. We'll tell you guys more about that. And we'll also discuss the Halloween patch and what we think is going to be happening with that. And we have now found some interesting data mined ascended armors. So we're going to actually open up with that because ascended armor, we've been kind of excited about seeing what it looks like. Evee, we've got some links. Let's go ahead and walk us through what we're going to be seeing here, if I can find it.
Can you like switch the scene so
There
that
we
it
go.
shows it off?
All right, we're looking at that one now. It's the one with the guy with like the winged ears.
That is the medium armor. And can I just please ask, what is the obsession with butt caves? I know it's not a trench coat, and I'm very happy it's not a trench coat. But why is there a butt cape? And that's part of the chess piece, which annoys the ever-living crap out of me. Because I just want a shirt. Please just give me a shirt.
And
Kate,
pants.
All I want.
Kate, I hear it
Or a
looks
vest.
a vest would be cool. Kate, I hear it looks amazing. Yeah, if you had a vest, actually, you could get, like, the classic Mesmer. They need to start layering their armor, where it's like you have an inner shirt, layered armor. I did hear some rumblings that we might see under armor, like underwear at some point, which the rumblings are, someone was like, hey, why didn't we get the swimsuits you said were going to come out? And then, apparently, Colin Johansson was like, you might see them, but not as your the way that they were going to do them. So there you go.
I'm okay with that. What were you saying about the
So
female?
you seem really excited about the way that the char armor looks.
Oh, and by really excited, I mean it still looks like the reason there was a char armor protest with, 400 protesters and multiple overflows. It's bad, stretchy textures, and it's not something I would be very interested in going for if I mained a char. Like, if I really wanted to get this gear on my char, I'd probably be transmuting it. And the same goes for Asura, because I went and previewed it all in my Asura. So that's kind of disappointing. It definitely shows the love towards the female characters and the humanoid characters.
Does it show the love towards the female characters or to their chest region?
Actually, towards the female characters.
Really? Good for
These
them.
armors do a very good job of what they said originally, where it was, we have a variety of armors. We have the skimpy ones. We have the fully covered ones. They're pretty gender equivalent. It really goes back to that, what they told us in the beginning, and I absolutely have the highest praise for them for that. It's just the textures and clippings so far that I've seen that are making them unattractive to me, not the fact that they're offensive in any way.
Oh, nice. I do have to say, I like this heavy armor that I'm looking at right now.
It reminds me of the Black Knight from the Monty Python movies.
Now, I will remind anyone who's looking at this, if they go with their current crafting method, it is going to take you 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12 weeks, 3 months, to actually get an entire set of this. And for those of you who enjoy cloth armor, well, you have a special thing to work towards. And I use special in the fullest sense of the word.
It's
All
beautiful.
right. I don't think we even need to talk about that now that we've seen it. It's
It looks better now that you have it zoomed in. When you had it before on the screen, with that dye job, it looked like he was naked except for like the green parts, and it did look very, very strange. But I think it looks okay. I maybe would switch the pants out, but I like the top
I would like to note that this
and
is
the
our
boots.
that this is essentially Cole demoing it.
Oh,
If you
that
look,
is-
it's the Cole
it
face
is.
with the Cole hair.
That's our guild leader, guys.
We do have some
Actually, a
links
jester.
where we've got female armor, which I can't bring up because I'm not actually watching the show on my. I'm watching it on another computer. Let's see if I can find them. Scrolling. Looks terrible because
Be
of
better
dye
if I, like,
choices.
put you in
Oh wow!
sky.
Holy smokes, that looks awesome. Never mind.
But that's a female.
That's a female with some of the best dye in the game.
Well, I wouldn't consider those dyes the best.
Well, they have
Just the highest
gradients,
quality.
so they add some cool. Little
Yeah,
effects to
they're
them.
nice. But there's other colors that are nice too. Like,
All right.
I don't know, I'm just trying to think. There was a discussion on dyes recently on the dye job Reddit, and they were talking about how there's dyes that are almost exactly the same colors, but ones have higher relief. Like I think it's Oxblood and Heirloom, and Heirloom has a higher relief, so it looks better on your armor, even though Oxblood is pretty much exactly the same color. And there's a few other ones out there like that, and they're nice to play with if you like making your characters look nice.
Oh, I will have to check that out. Mess around with that a little bit. So, moving on. We've all been playing a fair amount of Guild Wars, but I am currently, I will admit to everyone, I'm taking a short break. I will try and show up for guild missions and to get like content, so I'm at least somewhat relevant. But I am playing the Secret World right now, having a little bit of burnout on it, which is something that we should talk about. I'll explain my point of view on it right now. I think we hit Super Adventure Box, and Super Adventure Box, all the content before that sort of drove you through like core story, as well as there was a lot of good like farming and like getting stuff and working towards legendaries and that sort of thing that was synergized with the content. Super Adventure Box just goes left field and like it's like here, do something completely unrelated to the rest of the game, which is awesome. I just don't like that it's temporary. At first, I thought it was cool, and I will say, if you go back and watch the shows from back then, I was like, yeah, it should totally be temporary. I was wrong. Past Erik, you were wrong. That's right. So, I've got a little bit of burnout, so I'm going to be playing a lot more of the Secret World, which you are welcome to play with me. Evee, how are you feeling right now with just the rapid pace of temporary content?
It's not so much the rapid pace that's bothering me as much as this. Oh, hey, we've introduced more stats, but they're really expensive. And I don't like the way they look. So it's just like, I could either go for more stats, because more stats, or I could not and fall behind. And it's just like, well,
Does the new dungeon... So, you guys will actually tie into the dungeon. Does the new dungeon require higher stats?
Uh, yes,
it
no.
will certainly
Um,
be easier with them.
Yeah, that's the thing with the way they've done ascended gear and exotic gear. Like enough of an increase that you'll feel it. Like if you have ascended gear, it'll be nice, but like it's not undoable with exotic gear. And it definitely, I think. So earlier today, we spent about 4 hours total, Evie. You think in the end, 4
Yeah.
hours.
About four.
Playing through the new path. We made it to the end boss. We just didn't finish the end boss. We didn't have time to, sit there and perfect the mechanics to get it down. It it's definitely doable. The majority of the time we spent in there was learning mechanics. We played it without guides for the most part. We were all learning mechanics. We weren't necessarily on our best characters or on our mains either. And so it was a fun experience. Like, honestly, I had a lot of fun doing it, even though we spent a lot of time in there. Um, Ascended gear would have made it easier if we had all had ascended gear, definitely, but it wasn't undoable with exotics. I'd say it's probably balanced for exotics with full food and potions.
So how are you feeling right now, Kate, with the with just the content pace and everything? Is it nice to start getting some more permanent content?
Yes. I'm kind of, I am kind of burnt out as well. Not there's so many things that I can like almost finish, and then I run out of time. And I've been playing a lot more casually lately because I'm back at school. I'm working. I'm doing other stuff outside the podcast and the game. That's just making it hard for me to play as much as I used to. And it from someone who played a lot going to being someone who's much more of a casual player, I'm getting a different perspective on it, and it's really frustrating to see every week new content come through and just barely or not being able to finish it. And it's become really frustrating to me to the point where I don't want to even bother with the new content. I'm like, why even bother with that? It's gonna be gone in 2 weeks. Who cares? I don't want a stupid back piece. That's it. Like, and Tequatl and this new path are different in a way that they'll be here forever, but the achievements are going to be gone, and it's still
Oh, really?
still
They're pulling
frustrating.
out all the achievements and stuff.
Okay, so the boss week achievements are gone. I believe the Tuquatl achievements stayed in. Can anyone confirm that?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so the achievements for the Sunbringer, did the title itself stay in too? Okay, so yeah, those are still in. I think the achievements for TA will be sticking around because they're split off from the meta achievement as well. It's good, and it's
I
a
heard
step in the
that
right
there's-
The
direction.
achievement to get the back piece from TA is part of the living world, and that will be going away eventually.
Ah.
Okay.
So with that, is the back piece one of those impossible drops that you and I will never see, Evie?
No, it's you just have to do 10 achievements
Is there a
from
monocle
TA.
in this fight?
And
In this
I will
dungeon?
say right now, without even finishing the dungeon, we got 6 achievements out of 10. So
So it should be pretty straightforward.
and you can do the dailies as well, so it's not hard to get that achievement at all.
So have they added the new Nightmare Aetherblade Aether Nightmare weapons to the?
Yes.
How do you get those?
There are random drops, which means I will never see one.
Okay. Are they sellable?
No idea.
Will they stay in after the patch ends?
No
Moving
clarification.
Story. Okay.
I'd assume so because they're tied to that specific path and dungeon.
And it gives
And-
a reason to stay
Doing
with it
that
'cause
particular dungeon.
Yeah,
Apparently you can get all of the different skins just by finishing the dungeon and doing the bonus stuff.
you meant the achievements.
Oh, the achievements.
But
okay.
that's in terms of the skins, it's a good way to keep people doing that path because in terms of length and difficulty, I would compare it to a path in a raw.
Nice.
So
I'd say it's actually difficult in a row.
it's new,
Yeah.
and the boss mechanics are tougher. But once we get it down, it'll be pretty comparable to a raw.
Cool.
And
Which
yeah, so
go
you
ahead.
definitely need motivation to keep people playing stuff like that when there's a lot easier paths to do for, more reward. So I'm content with them keeping the weapons in there, definitely.
I do know that the bonus tokens are going to go away and revert to a lower number. Apparently there's a bonus number right now that you get for just running
Okay.
it.
We
I think you
didn't
get like 80
should we
tokens
get
or
that
something.
far?
You have to actually finish
Nice.
the dungeon. But you do get a significant increase in tokens, which is kind of cool. So I do look forward
It's
to
just 20
running that.
more.
Yeah, well, okay. 80 was a guess because I'm playing the Secret World right now. Cough. So, how about those Transylvanian werewolves? No. How is the path? So, how many boss fights are there actually?
3 major ones.
Three.
All right. So, walk us through the boss fights. Chat said they don't care if we spoil it for them.
The first one is probably not well placed. Probably should have been the second one. But you know what? I'm gonna let Spirit do this one because I will probably just like go off and be
Okay,
like,
so So you walk into the room. There's 2 bosses. One is Sparky. The other one is Slick. Slick is a large Norn fellow who likes to throw oil at you. Sparky is a Asura, I think, in a tiny bitsy dredge suit, and she throws fire everywhere. Of course, the oil lights on fire, creates noxious fumes, and kills everyone in the room. So, in order to mitigate this, you cover yourself in ooze pheromones, run around the room kiting a giant ooze who will one-shot you, and kite him through the oil to keep the damage over time debuff from killing you while you DPS down one of the bosses. When the boss goes down, the other boss gets increased mechanics, attacks faster, and does more damage until the end of the fight.
What happens to the slime? Ooze.
You have to keep it alive through the whole fight. If the ooze dies, it explodes, releases all the stuff it's saved up, and basically wipes the team.
Oh wow! So how does it die?
You don't. You just kite it until
if
the
you
end of
do
the fight, and then
damage
it
to
dies.
it, you have to like kite that thing around without actually doing any damage to it.
Yeah.
Huh. So do you just take one person and say go run in circles with the ooze
No,
pheromones?
because the pheromones will jump to different people. You have to realize when you have the pheromones and like, and it's tricky too because it'll jump to 2 people. So just because you have the pheromones doesn't necessarily mean it's following you. It just means that it could follow you very soon.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's kind of cool.
It's applied. It can be applied by the boss's attacks, but it can. There's also a permanent location, just to the right in the start of the room where you walk in, where you can apply it to yourself for 50 seconds, whenever you want.
Interesting. That sounds like a cool fight. All right, so
It was tough. It
can
took us a long
imagine.
time to get that one down.
Very cool. So now, second boss. They're clearly
Second
getting
boss
better
is
at
in a
boss
large
fights.
room. Yes,
Pro
kill
tip:
Sparky first.
kill Sparky first. Thank you, Live Spartan. All right, next boss.
Second boss is a large char, and he's in a like huge room.
Is he
with-
large
with
and in
tons-
charge?
Actually,
Yes.
yes, because he's like a foreman or whatever.
Hey!
And there are tons of mobs in this like giant room with him. Foreman Spur, yup. And I always get distracted by chat. I apologize.
So you're fighting
Anywho, there's
Foreman
tons of
Spur.
mobs with him. You can sort of peel off the mobs and kill them until you finally get to him, or you can just pull him and pray that you don't get destroyed by everything, which I'm assuming a lot of people do because they're trying to get that achievement,
Mm-hmm.
which is actually kind of funny.
Oh, kill him without killing any of the mobs.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's hardcore.
He is a axe warrior on crack, basically.
Not PCP,
No, not PCP.
just
Crack,
crack.
because he becomes very active. The biggest mechanic is once he reaches a certain amount of health, a like circle of like waviness. It's very obvious when you see it. Will kind of form around him, and you can't leave this circle. And he's a melee mob, so lots of devastation. And he will
Hardcore.
whirlwind in a line, like start whirlwinding, and he'll travel in a line. And if you get caught in that whirlwind, he will keep pulling you until he finishes.
Nice.
So you're pretty much gonna die.
So dodge. Learn to dodge.
Am I missing anything?
I don't
Well,
know. That
actually,
was
you
it. He
can't
was
dodge through
pretty.
it because the effect is too big. You have to avoid him. You cannot dodge through that.
Oh, plus he throws axes that
Yeah,
spin
he
on the
has little.
ground.
They're just
Oh,
little
yes.
AOE's that you
Oh
have to
my
walk
goodness.
around.
That sounds
We downed
fantastic.
him in comparison in difficulty to the last boss. We downed him in one go. Um, Running in there, not knowing
Very,
what he
very,
would do.
very.
Oh, okay.
So
Very cool. With how many thieves in your party?
near
None.
none.
Oh. Oh, you didn't bring your thief. Which one? Who did you guys run with? Actually, I'm curious.
My guardian
So
first, and then halfway through our attempts with Slick and Sparky, I switched to my Elementalist
I
because I figured
switched.
his damage would be more. Yeah.
I started warrior, DPS berserker warrior, and switched to my cleric's guardian.
So
And
support.
then also in our group were Fumiko on her warrior DPS. We had a Mesmer from Twit Guild, and Nightingale we pulled in. We started with a pug, but he rage quit
Aw.
almost right away because bugs.
Because of the door.
And then we ended up with
Should be
yeah,
a boss. I want
Oh,
to
you
point
guys
out.
fought a door boss.
yes, it was a
Tell
door
me
boss.
about the
It was
door
very-
boss, because I've
That
I've played
door is more
SWTOR and I'm
frustrating.
very familiar with the elevator boss. So I'm curious about a door boss. Go ahead and rant, Evie. You have the floor.
So certain parts of the ground are basically set on fire, and there's two paths going to two gears, and you have to activate them at relatively the same time. The way you do this is by kiting oozes from the start of the path through not fire to the gears. Seems simple enough, especially with the ooze pheromone that will make them follow you. Except that there's lava elementals that will ignore you and attack the oozes. And they're ranged. So projectile reflection is pretty much necessary.
Ah,
It really bothers me that something not all professions have is necessary in a dungeon.
I don't know if it's necessary. It's just right now it is because we don't know any other
Very,
ways to deal with it.
very.
I
The
don't
thing is,
know.
there's many mobs to control them all.
okay, but let's look at this. You've got thieves with their shadow wall. You have elementalists with their magnetic aura, or being able to equip the.
Magnetic aura won't really help because you can't put it on the ooze because it's an enemy.
What? Right, but you stand between the two, and it reflects the projectile.
There's cool stuff you can do with it. I don't know
Guardians
if
have
it's
their reflection wall.
anyway.
Necros
The elementals
don't actually have anything.
are
Go
a
ahead.
pain in the butt. They're hard to deal with, or not the elementals, but the elementals are a pain in the butt. They're hard to deal with, and it'll get better once we have more tactics for doing it, I believe. But right now, reflection does do more damage. I don't know. It's doable. It's tough, but we'll learn. It's day one
If there
content. Remember
was
Tequatl?
a-
We didn't down him for 2 weeks. Northern Shiver Peaks is still not taking down Tequatl.
I
don't
have
think
problems
we're
with the bottle
going to.
other than it being difficult.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't care that it's difficult in a dungeon. The
That's right.
problem
We
I
didn't get a
have with
rant about
particular-
Tequatl last week, did we?
Nope.
No. The problem I have with this particular door is that it's reinforcing the already existing meta
Of reflect.
of Guardian, Mesmer, and Warriors.
And thieves and Ellies and
They're
Not
not meta
necros.
though, and I don't know. There would be an advantage to having control, but right now control is reflecting damage.
you can't
So-
pull those range guys away from them or knock them back or knock
Oh,
them
yeah,
off
you
of
can.
something.
Yeah, but the
There's
problem
so
with
many of
the
them that you can't really rely on that to actually get through the path.
and you have to coordinate because the ooze itself is an enemy. You have to coordinate your CC to not hit the ooze, so the ooze can move through, and you can't kill the ooze. So you got to be careful with your AOE and your CC. Like you have to be so precise about it. It's good in a
Interesting.
way, but at the same time, it's highly frustrating.
Like my idea when I first heard of it is like get a guardian, just pull everything, and then I can get on my thief and blind it while everything just kind of. You can't do that because you'd pull the ooze as well.
Ah,
And I could pull with my thief, but I'd only be able to pull one mob when there's like 3 or 4 on each side, and it's just like
interesting.
I mean, projectile reflects, area projectile reflects, and denial, whatever you want to call the things that don't necessarily reflect but stop them, are king when it comes to that particular encounter.
Okay. So, are there any other techniques then that you think would work? Like any other, if you looked at it and you're like, if I did it this way, like let's say we didn't have any of those professions in your group, like fears might help, I would suppose.
No, because they would be
Because it's only a single target.
yeah.
Have you ever
So you
used
can't
staff
I
if you
literally cannot think of anything to do if you do not have some form of area projectile reflect. Literally can't think of anything.
Haha. Live Spartan did it without any of those. So, it is doable. We're just bad at this game.
I want to know how you. I honestly, I want to know how you did it.
You'll have to, yeah, tell us about it in chat, Live Spartan, and we will come back and recap your technique for the viewers. So, Spirit, boss number 2, what did they do? What does he? Oh no, we already talked about that.
That
Boss
was
number
Foreman's
3. Who is boss number 3, and what do they do?
Boss number 3 is
Clockhart.
the last boss.
Yeah. So the
like
the
that.
premise of TA is that everyone it's originally it was 3 different what if paths. So all of these 3 Sylvari are racing to the Nightmare Tree as a source of power. What this patch has done is it's removed the forward up path. We'll never see that again. It's completely eliminated Fiona, the spider one or something, I don't know. Whatever her name is. It's completely removed her chances of hitting the tree. Oh yeah, it was the spiders. Completely removed her chances. Scarlet's taken over, and now Scarlet is one of the Sylvari after this tree. So as you progress through the path, she reaches the tree. She's corrupted it into a Clockhart being, half clockwork being, half oak heart, half clockwork, and it's in this room that's full of it's very technical, electric stuff. And you go and break down all the generators. There's a mechanic that the dungeon teaches you with how to deal with these generators, where you have to drag the mobs that the generator spawn back to the generator and explode them on the generator to actually destroy them. So you go around and do that, and then the Clockhart crawls out and tries to pass your face in. He has a front conal AoE. He throws. You have to stay in close range to him. Otherwise, he throws these. I guess they're AoEs. They don't have circles, but there are clocks that's clockworks with
Gears.
gears.
They just
Yeah,
kinda
they spin in
place.
circles, and they destroy your soul as they do that. So you can't stand near them. It's terrible. Don't even think about going near them. So to prevent those from spawning, you stack up on top of him, and he'll get a buff that prevents him from doing damage, and it'll tick up to 30. And if it hits 30, if you don't stop this buff, he'll do a series of 5 shockwaves that are pretty much unavoidable, and they will hurt a lot. You can survive it, definitely, but in combination with the other mechanics going on, you don't want that. Because while he's doing this, the floor will electrify, and if you're not standing either in a different section of the floor where it's not electrified or on a very specific platform, that'll hurt a lot. That'll wipe a group.
And he has
And-
a tendency to throw gears on those platforms.
Oh yeah,
Just
he's a
saying.
total jerk. What else am I missing? Oh, so to strip this buff, you drag him over to the holograms, kill a hologram on it, and it explodes, and the buff is stripped, and the stacking buff slowly decreases over time. It's doable. We didn't finish it. We didn't have time to coordinate it because we saw a lot of when you would run back in the room, something would go wrong and it would wipe four members of the group and one person would be fine, and then we just slowly kind of give up. It was very demoralizing, but it's definitely doable. I'm excited to give it another go. I
Yeah,
really had fun for like as much time as we spent in there and as much trouble as we had. I had so much fun today, just like learning all the mechanics and stuff. It was great.
our
I just
best
say that you
attempt
can
was
continue.
after something kind of went disastrous in the pool. Three people died, and then it was just me and I was going to say Triv. Sorry, Spirit, and we got him to like what 70%,
Yeah.
about ish.
Yep.
70% removed or 30% left?
No.
Okay.
70% health.
70% left.
Okay. Interesting.
With that said, I am very impressed with the bosses and how they handle. Like, I love these bosses, and the pacing of the dungeon. Other than that stupid door, I love this dungeon.
It to me, it's what Guild Wars wanted dungeons to be. It has good boss mechanics. The pacing is great. There's a story behind it that's tied into the living world. It's beautiful. They completely redid the hub that you get when you enter it, and it gradually transitions from the Nightmare Forest to kind of the Aetherblade aesthetic that we've seen all around. It was beautiful. I really enjoyed this dungeon.
Cool. The
I'm
technique
excited that it's staying.
the technique that Live Spartan did before I had to shout baked potatoes in chat is we had no technique. We just split up, and with me running on the left side while another member kept the fire alleys busy, while I led the ooze and my other guildmate was leading the other one with two of the other party members, and we did it, and he was surprised before he had done it with a group of 3 guardians and a mesmer, and they couldn't do it. So apparently having walls
See-
reflect is not as unto a god.
See, I'm just sitting here like, how did you keep those lava elementals busy? Because whenever we were doing it, they would ignore the people that were attacking them and go straight for the ooze.
Yeah, we would send like we divided up into our teams, and we would send the people in, and then we would pull behind them with the ooze. But they would still like, even when we sent people in, they would totally de-aggro off our people and go to the ooze. Maybe we need, I don't know, maybe we need more toughness or something. Is
Did
that
you
the
did
thing
not
that
bring a necromancer, did you?
we had a
We had a
necromancer at that point,
necromancer.
but they were full berserker.
Oh, what? Rabid
Don't even.
people. Rabid.
You're not even playing this game. You don't get to tell people build advice. You're playing a different game.
I've mastered
Traitor.
necromancer. It's all about rabid. What in the world? He's like,
I'm
"No,
sorry,
go
but when
Zerker."
Triv goes Zerker, you know that something's up.
And you know, well, except Triv went Zerker because she got bored of the condition meta.
No, Triv wins Zerker because it does more damage.
All right, I'll let you think. Maybe.
And she will
Yeah.
tell you
Oh,
that.
we had all kinds of problems with the ooze. It was.
If you're gonna go Zerker with a Necro, you may as well just roll roll a warrior and go Zerker because it's the same thing except more damage.
Because Zerker or Necros are the only ones that can stay at range and still be good.
Well, okay, if
Well,
we're talking like
optimal.
short range,
600 is relatively 600 and Death Shroud, which you know Death Shroud, so
yeah.
not to mention Staff as well. So
Yes, staff. Oh, we totally equipped that for the
Necros are
damage.
just in Rangers.
I guess. Maybe. That's wonderful. Well, I'm playing a completely different game that actually has a trinity. Dun dun dun! So anyways, so while I'm playing the Secret World and everyone else is playing in their Zerker gear, which is stupid, but hey, it's how they built the game. So, there's some other stuff that they've released with the actual Scarlet's Invasion and the Dungeon Path. As far as I know, it is clothing has been released, yes? And by
No.
that, I mean hair.
Hairstyles.
Kate, tell us about the hairstyles.
Okay, there are 3 new hairstyles for every race, every gender in exclusive to the gem store. I'm sorry. You have to use your hairstyle or makeover kits to get them. They are. I like them. They're good. They're not necessarily my taste, but for the most part, they're good. I know Evie has his problems with them. Like, I have my problems with char armor clipping, but I already switched my Asura's hair over. She has a beautiful little ponytail now. She's adorable.
The hair is really good quality. The only problem I have is with two of the human male hairstyles clip with the ears. That seems like such a weird issue to me because I'm just like, every single character model is going to have ears. How did you not account for that? Just
I know that
why?
my ears clip through my hair.
No, the hair goes through the ears. There's a difference.
Ah, that is a little bit
Like,
odd.
you will see a strand of hair go like it's piercing the ear. It's just like dude has a cuff of hair. Just it bothers me. With that
Uh,
said, the hairstyles in general are very well done. Unfortunately, I have no originality, and most of my characters are human males, and I'm not particularly fond of long hair in general, but that's a personal taste. So the
yeah,
hair
if
is
you
actually
would,
really well done, other than that particular clipping issue. And as far as the other races are concerned, they're all really well done.
yes,
Like,
there's a
I
lot of
actually wish my thief was Norn right now.
there's a lot of new longer hairstyles if that's something you're looking for. Because I know, especially with Sylvari, that was one thing I was really sad about is there weren't any long hairstyles that I really liked. The Willow
Fern
one,
Prince.
yeah, the Fern one that they previewed with Kristen Perry is now in game. The one like a flower bud, very similar to the pale tree. I'm not sure if it's exactly the same. Also available for both male and female, and then one that looks like a pine cone. What are the other ones? I know. Okay, so char have there's one for the female char that has a curl, and every time I see it, I just imagine that char going girl. But that's a different story. There's a crazy long-haired one that I thought made my char look like Xena, and I can't remember what the other one is.
I
Xena
saw the
being warrior
one that
princess, incidentally.
the one that I saw made me think of Fabio in char form.
Yes, there was a Fabio char.
There's a male
Um,
char that's just like.
there,
My favorite one for the male char is the one with like the armor that goes from the top and all the way back. It's like a spine in the middle of the hair,
yeah,
and you
yeah,
can,
yeah.
it's metal. It's like,
Oh, that's what the other one. The third one for female char was dreadlocks.
Nice.
It looks good. It sounds strange, but it looks good. Um, Also now in the female humans, Marjorie Delacroix and what's her name, Casimir. Both of their hairstyles are now available.
Oh, very
I didn't
cool.
recognize the other one, but it's also a long hairstyle. So
and
there's
every human female I have seen in Lion's Arch basically has long hair and a flower now.
false.
Can't,
I didn't
That's
change
it.
either of mine.
I logged in and I did not change my hair, but I did have that weird blue hair
Well,
color.
I'm exaggerating, of course, but like it's probably because it's new and that's what I'm actually noticing. But it's
It's
just like
flavor
I'm
of the
seeing
month.
it everywhere.
Yeah, well, it won't change because people are like, why did I spend money
Uh,
on this? Speaking of spending money, I see in the show
One more
notes
thing. One more thing.
Oh, go ahead.
I have one more thing. For the Asura, they gave them tight buns
Oh, I
that make
saw
them
the
look like
Princess
Princess
Leia
Leia.
hair.
And I want somebody to have a Yoda Asura and a Princess Leia Asura and play them together. This is just if anyone out there knows anyone that has those characters, please send me a screenshot just for
Or get
my
like a vest if you can find one in game on an Azura and like a
a
Han
Han Solo
Solo
Asura.
and Leia Azura.
Yes.
You can do
Okay,
it.
this is happening. I need like 4 more character slots, guys.
We'll see what we
I
can
need
do.
4 more accounts so I can play them all together. Multi-boxing and what?
Speaking of Speaking of things that you can buy in the gem store, though, here's an interesting thing. Trait reset consumables. How much do these cost, and why would they...
Okay, as why, I'll get you a price in a minute. I'm just looking into check. As for why, I don't think it's that unnatural of an evolution. Like, it seems now that they're there, it seems almost strange to me that they weren't previously because everything
It's a
else, all
convenience
the other
item.
services, the revive orbs, the repair canisters, they're all services that you just have to go to an NPC to reset. And traits are the same way. So
Except
it doesn't bother me.
except for the fact that if they ever do add like a build saver in, what is there just gonna be a button? Pay the gems in order to buy your build shift, so that you can load your second build. So every time you do it, you're just gonna hit gem store and load up your second build.
No, maybe they'll go out. I don't know. They are okay. Here's the prices: 70 gems for one, 5 for 300, or 25 for 1400 gems.
It's a convenience item.
Yeah, I don't
I
know. I
never
would.
changed rates anyways,
It is
as far as values. So, whatever.
it's like 80 cents to reset your traits. Cool. Okay.
We
Well,
would
good to know
never
that.
think of it this way. We would never like those of us who play the game. We would never buy revive orbs. That's just silly. It's so much cheaper just to spend your gold on it. It's a revive orb. It's just a convenience item. It's the same thing with the trait reset. Like, there's no difference to me. I'm totally fine with it. I like, yeah, you said with if they do introduce trait swapping or like different build swapping, it would create an issue, but I don't think
Well, it's just
they
basically
would
what
add a
it
button
tells
like
me.
pay gems.
What it tells me is that a trait, like a swapping in a build menu, is that far away that they felt that they could actually make a significant amount of money on selling this. That's what that tells me. Is that they're either A, not working on it, or B, it's so far out that they're just not planning on releasing it anytime soon. So, interesting. I'm not a fan of that. You guys apparently are fine with that. But that's cool because you know
I
what?
don't like it, but I mean, it's just like anything else. So,
Yeah. Oh, it would come to SPVP first, the build saver, because you can't roll it out between the two game.
You don't have to
it's
worry about
much
currency
simpler to
with
do it for
PvP.
Oh,
SPVP
that's right,
first
because it doesn't
there's
cost. Yeah. Well, we all saw. Well, what's interesting is in Guild Wars 1, when they changed it, they just made it free. In Guild Wars 2, now they're changing it and they're making it cost money.
We'll see. It's a very distant future, remember?
But well, yes, it's very distant future now. Well, okay, so that's interesting. So a little bit of ranty there. This is me. Wooden Potatoes. He has talked about a few interesting things recently. Kate, you mentioned that he talked about the Tequatl fight. What's his analysis on it? And where
Uh,
can people go? They can see it at Wooden Potatoes YouTube channel, which is what, youtube.com/Wooden Potatoes?
yeah, I will put these in the link things. They're also in the show notes. Um, he did First he did an analysis of the Tequatl fight, which is an absolutely fantastic breakdown of all the problems with it, the strengths of it, and how much it says about where this game could go if everything lined up properly. I highly recommend watching it. I can't say it any better than he does. Really, yeah, it's definitely a good watch. I agree to him. I agree with him even a lot. It's my main. I think he said the main problem was overflows and how incredibly inefficient, or yeah, how incredibly not conducive to group
not
play
conducive to
overflows are,
organizing.
even though, yeah, organizing, there we go. Even though it seems like an elegant solution to the problem of having a queue, it doesn't work for stuff like this where you need to be organized so effectively that, you know, every second of the time has to be used in a certain way. And when you're thrown in with random people you don't know, you have no way of communicating with, you have no
And there's
way
a
of
random
knowing
timer
if
on
they
the
know
end
what they're
of the
doing.
event.
And yes, that's
It's just,
there's too much random in it. It's just yeah. That was his main argument, and I absolutely agree. If it had been easier to organize, I think we would have seen more servers taking him down right away. Not right away, but
Well,
closer
I
to the
mean,
beginning of the week.
they did kill him in a day, so I
well,
mean,
there's still servers that haven't killed him yet.
well, yeah,
More than
but
If you could
yeah.
actually organize it, I would say that all the servers would have done it by now.
yeah,
Hmm.
that's a good point. So, Wooden Potatoes also talked about the fact that he thinks that the game needs an expansion. Personally, I'm at the point where I agree with him. How do you guys feel about that? I know that this is sort of breaching into our bar brawl, so if you want to hold off for the bar brawl, we can
Barbara.
do that.
Do you want to hold off on it, or do you want to just go into Bar Brawl? Because
Let's go straight to let's do a little bit more news. We'll talk about Halloween's coming next patch. What do you guys expect to see?
mini
Okay.
games.
Well, mini games for one. But here's my. Okay, I need to put my serious face on.
Okay.
I don't have a tinfoil hat, so I'm sorry. Here's my theory. Scarlet is working with Mad King Thorn. She is going to break the seals this year.
Here's my theory.
That makes sense.
An undead Kurzik Juggernaut has returned and is working for Mad King Thorn and will
And he
summon.
has Siege Turtles.
No, he's a Kurzik Juggernaut. We have to get Siege Turtles to fight him.
Okay.
I,
I'll allow that theory.
I will flip the Siege Turtles over and put them in the Lion's Arch Bay. Anyways. Yes, I'm a dirty Kurzik. Now, shut up.
Live Spartan seems to think that there's a prince. Where do we have we heard Prince Thorn? What, does Mad King Thorn have a kid or something?
Was that maybe
No, he
in
died
the
before.
image?
Oh.
I don't know where they found that. Maybe it was
He had
data
like 6 or
mining.
7
I heard
wives,
there's
Evie.
some data mining. But we know that some stuff is
Ah.
coming back. We know that
The Clock Tower.
the clock tower is coming back.
Modified,
Hopefully
I
improved,
think. I
please.
think I've heard on the forums a few times that they said that they modded it or
I
something.
hope they fix the
Okay,
camera issues.
keep the difficulty exactly the same. Extend the timer at the beginning just a little bit so that I don't get in there and die right away because I don't load right away. I had a wish list for this. Don't make me watch that damn cinematic any more times. Don't make me watch that any more times. I can't repeat that enough. Yeah, there's improvements for the clock tower. I hope they come in. The clock tower was a fantastic piece of content. I'm excited about it coming back. We know that the story is going to continue. As with every Halloween, there will be some continuation of Mad King's story. We'll learn more about him. I'm excited about that. I love the Mad King and his even.
It's been
with his
running
mad
for
jokes.
300 years now. Let's keep going.
Yeah, I love it. And
Very cool.
also with that patch, many skill balances. All professions, all game types. Yeah, that'll be exciting to see. There's a lot of stuff floating around right now. I'm not actually going to go through any of the things that might be happening because we'll talk about it then, I'm sure. And we'll have a final list because right now they're not finalized. Oh, also, yes, thank you for reminding me. Traits are going to be updated so that you actually understand what they're saying. It's not just going to be like it gives you more healing. It's going to tell you how much healing it gives you.
Nice.
Which is
Yes, they would.
amazing because the game desperately needs more transparency.
Yes.
The
Yes.
theory crafter of me is going, yes. I mean, it's not going to change.
It's
unless
really true.
you
I mean,
know.
they need people like me to get to the fact that you need to wear Zerker gear faster.
Mhm.
Well, it's like when Assassin's Gear first came out. There was a debate of whether Berserker would actually still be the optimal thing, because we needed to figure out at what power plateau did critting more do more damage. Still turns out that having full Berserker gear is the best. Just FYI. but it took a while to get to that point because there's a lack of transparency with different skill facts and whatnot as to how they scale or anything. So the difference in assassins and berserker gear is actually different for each profession and for each build because of, just things and scaling and whatnot. And it took a while for people to get to the point where they could figure out that berserker is actually on top of everything. Granted, wait, what? I lost my track of thought.
Granted, Rabbit is awesome, but no.
No. With the transparency to traits, it's going to make optimizing trait lines a lot easier, which right now is actually kind of wishy-washy as far as how people do it. Because it's more of a, well, let's trait into this and just start smacking things and stuff like that. Like, Mesmer, just as an example, if you take the trait to reduce all the cooldowns of, say, a greatsword by 20%, and all of the cooldowns of your phantasms and your illusion summoning skills all by 20%, you theoretically assume that each one of those would affect your illusionary berserker. In truth, you only need one of them. The other two don't do anything.
So it'll tell you
Speaking of
what
Assassin's
stacks
Armor.
and what doesn't.
Speaking of
Yes.
Assassin's Armor, Eric's pants are still in my inventory. They made a change today that fixed the recipes surrounding Assassin's gear, so if you're gonna do that,
Yes,
most
please
of them
send
are
it to
fixed.
me.
It took off, actually I can't. It's still account bound, even though they took off the tag that says account bound, so it's still sitting in my bank waiting to be sent to you. Pro tip, if you're crafting Assassin's Armor, do it for yourself. Don't craft it for your friends, or you'll end up with your friend's pants in your inventory for the next 6 months. It's been like 2 weeks.
It's been way too long that you've had my pants. I would like them.
I would gladly give them back, except
I've never actually
account
had
bound,
them.
but not really. Oh, right.
This is like when people from other countries send their, like... I was talking to this one guy from Ireland, and apparently a thing that they do is they fly to New York, buy a whole bunch of blue jeans, and then come back and sell them to all their friends. And they make an obscene profit and pay for their trip with that.
Wow.
Because that is how
Yeah, 'cause-
expensive blue jeans are in
Fascinating.
Ireland.
Blue jeans are more expensive compared to the United States, pretty much everywhere but China.
Yeah.
Aren't
Oh,
they?
good,
Yeah.
good thing I live
So-
here.
Pro tip
That's
for
what I wear.
those of you that want to bloat, that live in Ireland and want to make some money, just take an empty
Or-
suitcase with you to New York.
Or pro tip for people that live in the United States,
If
just
you're going
buy
to
tons
Ireland,
of jeans and sell them to Europeans.
if you're going to Ireland,
That sounds like a fantastic idea.
just remember. But see, what this is like is you get to the airport and they see your baggage full of blue jeans and they're like, "I'm sorry, you cannot take these over." And now you've got all these blue
Why not?
jeans that
I
can't
like
be
wearing
used.
blue jeans. What's your problem?
That's all I wear.
It's clothes.
And then you like put a pair on your head and tie them around and walk away.
So I wonder what would happen if you actually tried to go through the airport wearing nothing but blue jeans. And then you'd argue, it's all I wear, so that's why I have like 50 pair of them.
Nothing about blue jeans as in that's all you're wearing, or like you're wearing blue jeans as every article of clothing.
Like, that's all you're wearing.
That reminds me
I
of
don't
the
know.
story of the guy who put on like 15 outfits at the same time so he wouldn't have to check his bag.
Oh, that sounds so terribly uncomfortable. And I know about wearing a lot of clothing because I live in Wisconsin and I have winter. You wear like 14 pieces, like 14 layers of clothing, and you die of heat,
Speaking
and also
of-
you can't feel your arms.
Speaking of cold, die of heat, that's weird. So I went to Alaska this week, and I was like, I can wear sweaters again, and there was snow, and the trees had leaves still for some reason. It was weird, but it was fun. So Alaska's
So
awesome.
scares me.
Did you see a moose?
I
so
didn't.
scared
I
to
was
see it.
so sad. I saw no moose. I didn't even see multiple moose, which is the
Oh.
plural of moose.
Moosin.
Well, it was actually during moose hunting season, so a lot of the times the moose that actually live near the city near Fairbanks get killed with a bow.
Hold on. There's a moose hunting season.
Yeah. You have to control how many are harvested per year.
Don't bring your ruminant tonics to Alaska.
No, that would be a horrible Don't bring it in September in Alaska, because that's moose hunting season, and you will die. And people...
September?
Yeah. No, we have... Alaska has really solid and sane controls on, hunting seasons. I mean, everyone's like, oh, those crazy Alaskans going out and killing everything. I mean, it's not like a wolf where it's open season on them, because they're horrible, horrible creatures.
Remember when we were at Guild Wars podcast?
Remember when I started playing The Secret World that one time? Oh. Ooh,
Okay,
Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is on. Pfft, end the episode, I'm out.
We should probably talk about the Barbara topic.
Alright, so, Bar Brawl, because we do like fighting, I'm going to start by reading a few things on the topic from our Twitter, and then I'll let you guys go for it. So specifically what we're doing is...
Yeah, there
what...
we go. That you should start with a question instead of the responses to nothing.
So the question was... something about something about something.
I'll read it.
Alright, go.
What is the longevity of the living story? Can the living story alone support the game for years to come?
Naveen from Chronicles of Tyria responded, as long as it is interesting and keeps players coming back, I don't see a problem with it. It's a good way to point out to think about it. Grybach, who always writes epic things, and even his tweets are epic, and it took 3 tweets. Good work, Grybach. You're awesome.
It only took 3?
It only took 3. I was surprised. I saw the ellipsis at the end of the first one, and I was like, oh this is
okay.
gonna be
Getting
good.
on topic. What are they?
Okay, as it currently is, I'm having a hard time feeling it. Whenever pressed about details for things like new classes / continents, they always say nothing is off the table, or that is possible with Living Story. Possible, then like a wonky, frowny face thing. Probable,
does not equal.
does not equal. Oh, that's right, coding. I do that sometimes, and I'm terrible at it. Probable, nor timely, nor frequent. While it is possible to put out an entire expansion's worth of content via Living Story, whether that is likely is totally separate. Christian, who has not been on our show for a while, but I hear that he might be coming to the States at some point in the near future, and so we will have him on again. If the Living Story matches the level of content of the Zephyrite patch, it is possible, but it has been diluted a bit since then. The trouble right now is everything is being worked on or thought about with no certainty that it will ever come out. So people feel me. I feel like I'm understood. Celeste from the Guild Wars Reporter seconded Squirrel's Christian's ideas. Neo from the Twit Guild said, maybe, but I hope we'll see expansions. I miss the big, meaty updates that came with Guild Wars 1's campaigns in Eye of the North. Gamer Melski, who has been in our chat several times, says, funny how people always want more content. I dislike how grindy the Living Story is. Rather go back to Guild Wars 1 missions. Less WoW. And Dragon Season announced that we're starting our podcast.
Yay, you read our Twitter feed.
I can just keep going. I can go backwards.
No. Okay, so Grybach and Christian actually touched on something that I've felt, and Christian and I actually just had a discussion about this maybe last night or the night before. There's so many things out there right now that they're like, oh, we have the possibility of doing this. We have it's coming. It's going to happen. And over again, we get these patches where we don't see it. I would really like, I'm of the opinion now that we need an expansion for the health of the game. Not because the Living Story isn't a good method of delivering content, not because it is a very cool way of doing things. An expansion provides something for the game that Living Story can never do, and that it has an end date for a bunch of new features. You can say, oh, there's an expansion coming in a year. Oh, in a year there's going to be all this stuff here. We can wait for that. We can get excited about it. We can promote it. It was the same pre-launch for Guild Wars.
Well,
it's going to be here. Okay.
Go ahead.
Guild Wars, as I was saying, hold on. You could really confused me.
I'm sorry. What I was going to say is interject in there. Guild Wars
Yeah,
2
go
is
ahead.
in very many ways a game about exploration, discovery, finding this world, exploring it. Anyone who has played it aggressively has done that like 30 times now.
There's, to me, an expansion is more than just, it is a flood of new content. It's opening up the exploration, but it's also um, a focal point for the community to get excited about and rally around. Whereas with the living story, we're all over the place. There's patches we don't like. There's it's temporary content. We can't get excited. I mean, we do get excited about it, but it's hard to. It's easier to get excited about and rally around one big chunk of content than every 2 weeks get excited. It grows old, get excited, it grows old, get excited, it grows old. We don't know what's coming. There's no definite features to it. And I personally think if they keep running the living story the way it is without giving us these definite dates, these, more concrete things to get excited about, we'll just get transparency. Yeah, we'll get bored with it.
To be
I'm
honest,
already feeling this.
what
Go
if
ahead, Eric.
what if though they were adding like so an expansion pack is going to add maybe like 20 new zones. What if every single or not even every single like every other week we got new zones or not every other week but every other month we got a new zone or something like that, somewhere else that we could branch out to and we could see, oh, we're working towards X. Right now it's just sort of, oh, Scarlet has popped up here, she's doing something, punch her in the face. It's not, here's a new zone, here's new mystery, here's new questions.
Which is where my point would come in. The way, just to answer the question as it stands, as it stands right now, I don't think the living story will support Guild Wars 2 as far as a growing platform for storytelling, gameplay, everything as it stands right now with the type of content that they are releasing. For the simple fact that it's not really giving the game a chance to evolve and adapt while also keeping player interest. A large part of expansions, whether at least from what I've seen, is basically resetting mechanics. You see it in WoW. They completely revamp talents. They'll introduce new talents.
Guild Wars
There's more
2
skills.
adds more skills. Or Guild Wars
Guild Wars
expansions.
2 added new
Guild Wars 1.
professions.
Yeah,
Or-
that's true.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Guild Wars
I
1
messed
added
up
new
too.
professions, which in turn added new skills, completely shifted the meta. As far as PvP goes, there was new game types. Alliance battles were introduced with factions. Hero battles with Nightfall. Heroes were introduced with Nightfall. I mean, the list goes on and on. Expansions are a very good medium for introducing that type of new content in a well-known manner. Living Story could introduce that content as far as new mechanics, new weapons, new skills. In fact, I'm almost fairly positive that they will add new skills at some point. When? I have no idea. Problem is, and this is what Spirit was touching on, there is no transparency with it. There's nothing for the community to rally behind and be like, oh, we have deathmatch coming. And get all excited and hype it up. That would build the PvP community more than just suddenly releasing death matches or King of the Hill or whatever, or GVG even. I mean, people would be happy when it comes out, but there would not be that anticipation. If you want to go into a PvE side of things, look at the Zephyr Sanctum. If people knew that the Zephyr Sanctum was going to come out even a month beforehand, they would have been incredibly excited for it.
Yeah.
There's
We didn't know though,
one of
so there
yeah.
was no hype.
And one of the problems for me not knowing that is there's only so many patches I can take being disappointed. Like they keep saying this is coming or this is coming soon. And so I'm like, oh yeah, maybe we'll see it next patch. And then it doesn't come and I'm like, oh, it's okay. There's some cool stuff that's we'll see it next patch maybe and then next patch gets here and it's still not here. And there's only so many times I can take that disappointment before I'm like there's so many things we could see and I'm not seeing any of it and it's really wearing on
Months
me
ago,
as a player. Yeah.
when they were talking about, I can't even remember, Flame and Frost or something. Well, not that far back. It
Back in
There
the
was an
day.
interview where I can't remember who it was exactly. I think it was Colin. He said, "We're looking at weapons for every weapon for every profession." I got really excited with that, incredibly excited with that news. And it's several months down the line. We haven't seen any new weapon combinations, and we have no idea if they're even working on it.
There's so much on their minds, and
We
we've
hear
seen
about
concrete
wardrobes
evidence of
from
SWAT.
Colin. We hear about the wardrobes in like interviews and whatnot, and that's because we're part of the community and we watch.
Yeah,
Or
it was 2 months
try
ago
to
that he
interact.
mentioned the professions or the weapons. To be honest, I'm beginning to suspect that we're probably gonna not see too many new things until a few months after we're into the recycled yearly content, which is we're probably not going to see anything seriously new, aside from obviously dungeon paths, which I guess the dungeon path is a pretty massive investment in time. I mean, it's essentially a whole new zone. It's a very directed
Dungeon
zone.
paths are a very good step up from what they've been doing in the past, mostly because one is permanent,
Hmm.
and two, if they continue with how they're doing the bosses and the mechanics, people will be drawn to them.
And if they do redo the entire game, that would be.
At some point, as far as PvP, World v World, and whatnot, they need to shift the meta in a very considerable way.
Well,
Introduce new mechanics, introduce a new game type. If not, people will lose interest. Granted, in tournament play right now, everything's kind of stagnant because the meta is pretty much where it's at. Necro, Thief, now Hammer, whatever, Warriors and Spirit Rangers. And there's only one game type, so there's not really... And the best way I think they could shift SPVP is by introducing more game types like GVG, Deathmatch, King of the Hill, whatever.
so the
As far as
interesting thing
World-
with that is MLG just picked up Guild Wars 2. How long do you think that? I mean, the way that it's currently right now, it's got to be boring to watch. I mean, the last few things I watched, I was just like, they're all standing on one point. They're punching each other in the face. Someone happened to kill the other person faster.
I mean, I'm actually really surprised MLG picked it up, and this is coming from the second person to sign the MLG petition for them to pick up Guild Wars 2, because back then I actually thought that Guild Wars 2 would grow to a point where it would be a very good esports game for MLG to have.
Hmm.
But it hasn't grown to that point. I mean, they have spectator mode, which is a huge improvement since back then,
Yeah.
but we still don't have more game types. The meta is incredibly stagnant, and even if it wasn't, well, how do I word this? Even if it, no, the fact that it's stagnant isn't necessarily the worst part of it, because, I mean, look at LoL. Their meta, technically speaking, is very stagnant. It's been pretty much the same for years. You have AP carry, support.
Should we just tell them to go watch the episode with Grybach?
Yes.
Grybach gave that exact same analysis there.
Yeah.
2 episodes back. So guys, if you want to know
Watch that
that,
episode.
go watch episode 17. Grybach does a perfect
So-
analysis of how you can have a stagnant meta with an incredibly fascinating subplay.
The thing is,
I-
because there's only one game type, and because those roles are being filled by the exact same profession with the exact same builds pretty much every single time, it's incredibly boring because there's no shift, there's no upset. And then there's the fact that it's just boring to watch because they're sitting on one point and just killing each other.
There does have to be something to do movement. Well, I'm not going to bring up the leaked information on the show. Data mined is okay, but leaked, we're going to avoid that. But apparently someone has leaked new game types. Kate, you want to do something.
So TLDR, what is your... Can Living Stories support it? Can Changed Living Stories support it? Or do we need something else?
I want to explore again.
I'm of the opinion that we need Living Story in conjunction with expansions.
I think the Living Story is
massive,
brilliant.
But I
You're
believe
right.
that we need both.
Yes.
Effective.
I
Kate
think
wins.
they either need to do the living story as they're doing it right now because it's a really good way to evolve the world, and do expansions on top of it every year or whatever months, or they introduce large chunks of what would be expansion content with living story at least every 2 months, if not every month.
Here's an interesting thought that I've been actually slowly putting together. Scarlet is not necessarily an off-the-cuff villain, but she is someone that they started developing after launch. In fact, I'm pretty confident that I saw a series of tweets where her concept was birthed. Way back in February or something, where there were a bunch of people talking about, oh, we could do, like, what kind of villains would you like to see, someone asked, and then, from ArenaNet, and then people were like, oh, well, you could do this kind, and then they sort of generally got around to, like, talking about, like, a Joker-like villain, and stuff like that. And so, I traced those tweets, and that was essentially almost like the birth of Scarlet. I think they already were thinking of that, but that might have cemented that they're like, oh, the community would like to see a Scarlet-style villain, because she's awesome. But she's a
Harley Quinn.
Yeah, no, she's fantastic. She's a post-release villain, and they said that the story for Guild Wars 2 was charted out for up to 5 years worth of story. Or 5 expansion packs worth of story, which means that we aren't seeing that right now. We have seen the personal story, but we haven't seen anything from that other massive... Basically, we've seen 1/5 of the story that they were planning to tell us at the beginning. And now we've seen this other side story, which is a fun side story. I'm not going to complain about the story. I actually really like the current side story. But it's not the story that... The rest of the story.
Let me make a quick analogy. It's like watching an anime, and the anime catches up to the manga, so they have to do filler. It's kind of good to watch sometimes, but
it's not what
really,
you
you just want the main story back.
And then you go read the manga.
But we can't,
what I do.
because there is no such thing in Guild Wars 2.
I would
It's
love
true.
to go to the offices at ArenaNet and just read their wiki, because they have an internal wiki.
Sold. Done. Let's do it.
Yeah, and it's kind of rough because I know on the one hand, I mean, a developer's going to watch this and be like, seriously, you want us to give you living story and expansions? That is a lot of work. We understand that.
Yeah, we do, and to make that feasible, you would have to ease up on the content of the living story. I don't necessarily think that's a bad thing. To switch to maybe 3-week cycles or monthly cycles. You have more time to polish. You have more time to expand on that content.
Interestingly enough,
and truly bring it into its own. And take that extra time to start working on an expansion, because it would be wonderful for everyone.
the good news is we have established holidays, and I think we've got 6 holidays. We've got Dragon Bash, Halloween, Christmas, Winter's Day. What else do we have?
The Queen's Jubilee.
Queen's Jubilee. So we have, 4 established holidays? And that leaves 8 months that we don't necessarily have an established thing that's going on, but we have, you can
They
have...
could always pop in Super Adventure Box
Super
whenever
Adventure
New World
Box,
is done.
which they really need to just make permanent, though. They have Zephyr Sanctum, which can pop in occasionally. They have... I guess they don't really have... I guess they've got, 6 things that they can just throw in per month? In a month and say, this month is that. So maybe what we're gonna see year two is maybe half of the company or someone like some secret group is working on an expansion pack, and what we're gonna see is year two is them building out to where there is a set thing that happens every month, or that you maybe have six that are set, five or six that are set, and then six that are just sort of random, like the Dark Moon Fair in WoW, where it just sort of moves around, and you can, and so you look forward to those each. You know, you're like, okay, we know this one thing is going to happen for this 2 week period, and then maybe there's going to be, then the rest of the time is them rolling out their, you know, their TV show Living Story. That would perhaps ease up on what the teams have to do every year or every month, and allow them to maybe take some. It would allow us to be more relaxed on the content, because if you just re-pump out the same holiday every year, it's still fun. There's still a lot of great stuff in those holidays, but you don't necessarily have to worry about saying, "Oh, I mean, like the
I have to get all these achievements in 2 weeks."
Like with the Super Adventure Box, what was so frustrating is that when it left the first time, I was like, "Oh, I'm sad that it's gone, but I'm excited to see it again because I'll get a chance at those skins again." We didn't get a chance at those skins again. I was aghast. I mean, seriously, that actually is why I did not play the Super Adventure Box, because I looked at it and I said, "Do I have the time to get X?" I don't really do, but and all of my progress towards X is going to be meaningless, like the green skins or whatever. It seems like maybe those are just going to be gone the next time Super Adventure Box shows up too.
My big thing
I
with Super
hope
Adventure
not.
Box was that they time gated getting the regular super skins, which are the ones that I wanted because I hate green and I hate
Yes.
yellow. And
I can't emphasize
when
this
it came
enough.
out, I was super excited. I was gonna be like, I'm gonna get daggers and pistols. I'm gonna match them up with my sword. I already have a sword in my bank. I already have a short bow, and it's gonna be awesome. And then, like, looking at the time gating, I realized I would have to log in every single day and do Super Adventure Box in like 10 minutes or whatever. And even then, I would not be able to completely get all the weapons I wanted because I have multiple characters. And
Yeah.
I was just like, you know what? If I can't get a complete weapon set, I'm not even going to try to get one because I want to match.
I can't really emphasize this enough. Like, if you put these weapons in and you gate them behind content, and you have to run the content over and over to do them again, please don't time gate them. It's, let me play the way I want to play. If I want to run that content over and over 16 times in a day and get my weapon, let me do that.
Yeah,
It's
because
just,
the
I'm so
content's
sick of them telling us that the way to enjoy their game is to log in, do one of everything, log out, log in the next day, do one of everything, and log out.
And then another issue is because it's not permanent content, the time gating limits the amount of rewards you can get as well, which is the problem I'm
simultaneous.
having.
Yeah. So a little bit of a frustrating week, 2 weeks for us in Guild Wars 2. I think that it will get better, hopefully. Cross fingers. Let's hope that they're not just, like, building more temporary content, because if they are, that's not going to end well for
Nope.
probably them, because I think that if we're burning out... I mean, they even said, "Oh, Super Adventure Box had this huge drop in players," and it's like, and clearly it's because Super Adventure Box was too hard. That's not why.
No.
We're
It's because
burning
people weren't
out.
interested in doing it.
We're burning out, and people are hitting the wall. Which, I don't know. I on one hand, I love a lot of content, but on the other hand, I think that we've reached the point where it's like too much is. Or, no, too temporary. Because if I could go and do this, like, 6 months down the road, I wouldn't feel like, oh my goodness. But maybe that wouldn't get people to log in.
That it's something I don't know if I've said this before on the show, if it's something that's come up just in general conversation. How to explain it? It's like Guild Wars 2 is holding me hostage. It's keeping me playing, but not in a good way. It's keeping me playing in a way where I'm reluctant to keep playing because I just want to put it down, but I can't because I'll miss something. And when I come back, everything's gonna be gone.
And the problem is, it's not like it's okay to miss things, because if you want those skins, if you want those items, if you want that achievements to get to unlock the achievement points, you have to play.
And you have to invest a significant amount of time usually too.
So, wheel morality this week is Guild Wars 2 is trying to hold us hostage. Come play the secret world with me. No, I'm joking. Keep playing Guild Wars 2, guys. Play it the way you want. Don't care about all this stuff. It will get better. ArenaNet is a very good team, good company, as we can see with what they've done with Dungeons. They're clearly will learn from their mistakes. And so they have learned from Dungeons, and I'm very confident that what's going to happen is they're going to look at that and they're going to be like, okay, so now we're finally getting feedback, and even like the crazy people who do TV shows, internet TV shows about us are getting burnt out. So it's probably a good time to maybe pull back. We'll see. We'll see what happens. Also, hello, Widechar. You are watching. Hello, ArenaNet friend. So, with that, I am going to actually sign out and go get some food, because I love eating, and eating is good. I'd also like to thank everyone who is in chat. Feel free to look us up on relicsofwar.com, tweet at us at relicsofwar. You can email us any questions or comments if you want to complain. You're like, why are you guys so lazy and not enjoying Guild Wars 2? Feel free to email us, relicsofwar@gmail.com. Or you can start up a forum, a post on our forum. Kate goes to them every day and checks them when she has the opportunity, and she will generally answer you if you have, sane posts that aren't like advertising taco wagons. I'm looking at you,
If you don't
Cole.
post, what was it? Somebody went on our forums and posted pony fanfic.
Oh my goodness,
Go on
never
there, I don't
ever
want you.
again. Never. Is that deleted?
I think we left it
That's
'cause
safe
it
for work,
wasn't
pony
against the
fanfic,
rules.
I'd like to point out.
Oh my goodness, I read that and I almost threw up in my mouth.
Yeah, don't,
Like, it
don't do
was
that.
bad.
I'll
Oh
be
my
very sad.
goodness.
But you can whisper to Rangaku and tell him to upload the new episodes of Relics of War.
Yes, I
So
need
we're
to.
behind again.
We are. Yeah, I went to Alaska. That's my excuse. I went to the Arctic. They didn't have that. Although Rabin did upload a bunch of audio, so
Oh, excellent.
there are more audio episodes on the way. So, alright guys, we will talk to you later. Thank you all for watching. Take it easy.